Hey, we're back, everybody. This was gonna be a part 2. Maybe it will be a part 2. Maybe we'll do a 3-hour episode. Who knows? Yesterday I had to leave early because my son had to go to the dentist, and then today he just had 4 wisdom teeth taken out, and he's banged out in the other room. Max fell off the edge first time ever, and he doesn't like it. He was pushed out in like a wheelchair. It was really sad, actually. After when I walked out and left him there, I knew I couldn't see him for an hour, and I just gave him a hug. I'm like, damn, this is kind of scary. He's gonna be knocked out. I know he's gonna be fine, but it's like just leaving. You feel like unresponsive. They told me I couldn't stay because of COVID, so like I went and got you guys, and I don't know.
I think it's terrifying anytime your kid is going through something like that.
I get scared when my dog has to go under anesthesia, right? You know
so
what I mean?
imagine
like, they put my dog under anesthesia. My dog, I took him to the vet, and he had to get 10 teeth removed. Crazy. And he's like
wow.
He's like a 5-year-old French bulldog. He had to get 10 teeth removed. They put him under, and I get worried, like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen?
I know.
So
imagine a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn.
For sure.
It's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
You've been under, right?
Not since I was a kid. I had wisdom teeth taken out. Yeah, since I was like 20.
But you haven't been put under, like surgery?
Only for wisdom teeth. That's it.
Wow.
He just touched
what
it
about
out.
You?
He just touched it out.
I never had.
He's like, I'm straight. Just operate. Just cut me open.
Well, tomorrow
bites on a stick.
Well, when I went to dentist 3 weeks ago to get the new crown put in the back of my tooth, they had to give me 4 shots of Novocaine because I could feel it every time. So tomorrow I'm going to get the crown put on, and I asked them today, no Novocaine. Just rip off the fake one and put the other one on because I don't want to get it just numb me for like a week. My jaw was killing me, dude. I can't handle it.
Dude, you're insane.
I'll take the Novocaine.
I'll take some, please. Thank you.
I'll take the Novocaine at the dentist.
I guess I could say it because he talked about it on the podcast, but Mark McGrath, his whole life, I don't know how long he's been doing it for. He gets put under for the dentist of any kind, anything, cavity, anything. He just has a fear of the dentist, and so he pays extra. I love you, Mark, and he gets put to sleep at the dentist no matter what.
That's kind of
crazy.
Why?
It's a fear.
He just wants to fly.
There you go.
That was a good one. That was good.
I mean, unless he ate a lot of sugar, and then I don't know, sugar. I'm sorry. Love you, Mark. He listens every week.
Yeah, Mark, represent.
Homie for life. Love you, Mark. And I'd like to do that. I asked them yesterday if they would do that, and they said they don't do it at this location. So maybe it's a certain spot, and maybe it blew up your spot, Mark. You have a secret doctor that does that. Sorry. Okay, welcome back, Andrew. I feel like we had a little bit of rush towards the end yesterday because I did have to go. I know we talked briefly about your store tradition, also working with Muggs and part of the Soul Assassins. Was Roy from Downset in the mix doing something with you there too, or was that?
So Roy was originally my connection, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so back when, what was the record? Maybe Skull and Bones, I think it was. That when they did
Cypress, yeah,
Cypress Hill. They did like Rock Superstar, right? And they were kind of doing some rock stuff. Roy did all the guitars on Rock Superstar.
Did not know that.
Roy was in Downset. So
great guitar player.
He had, I think, initially kind of linked up with Sendog when Sendog was doing SX10. Yeah. Sendog had this rock rap thing, right?
Yeah.
And he linked up with them, and then he was touring with Cypress Hill. Like they would do their hip hop stuff. Then they'd bring out a live band, Eric Bobo on drums. I think Christian from Fear Factory played bass for a while. He'd do like upright bass. Roy was on guitar. They may have had another guitar player, and he kind of like. Oops, she's on the mic. Hold on.
Stella, you're getting fired from the podcast.
Stella, you're gonna get fired.
So stick with the porch photo, Stella, right?
She got caught. She jumped right onto my mic cable and got trapped.
So Roy was a connector in there.
So he kind of toured the world with them. And then basically, in the kind of late 90s, I started producing hip-hop stuff on my own. I had some friends that were getting into it. I bought a Korg Triton, and I was making beats on a Triton.
It's cool.
I bought an MPC, was making beats on that. And then from there, I sold the first beat I sold was to Sendog and his brother Mellow Man Ace. They're brothers.
I know they were. I know. I know that.
They're brothers.
Mellow Man Ace and Kid Frost. That's right. Wow.
Yeah. They had a record called the Reyes Brothers.
Okay.
Because they're brothers. So Sen Reyes.
That's amazing.
Mellow Man. I don't know his real name. Mellow Man Reyes. So they had this record called the Reyes Brothers, and I produced a track on that, and then I produced a track on Sendog's solo record. It was called Diary of a Mad Dog, I believe. produced a track on that, and that was cool. It actually got placement in like a CSI or something. So
Nice.
I got some nice little publishing.
How'd you get into producing? Like, how'd you even get into making beats? Like, just because you love hip hop?
Yeah, like growing up, I obviously I loved hardcore, but like I was into hip hop. Like, like I mentioned on the last episode, I was super into like Run DMC and Beastie Boys as a young kid, and then of course like all the early '90s
Wu-Tang, all that shit.
Yeah, Wu-Tang.
And Moment of Truth, you named your record after.
Yep.
You knew the EP, yeah.
Yep.
That's a Gangstar shout out there.
That is absolutely
one of the greatest songs too. A great song by Gangstar.
For sure. Absolutely. So I was always kind of into that, and focused on making music and not just hardcore music, right? So that's kind of like got into making beats. So I did that, and then once I had my Stella's getting crazy. I don't know.
No, Stella, stop it.
She's on the mic cord again.
She's playing with a toy. Stella, we're doing a podcast. Stella.
Attack!
Kick rocks with your fucking toy, man.
She got the Easter bunny.
Stella brought like a fucking toy out here.
Like a good...
Trying to have Andrew play fucking catch with her during the podcast.
She's like literally tangled up in my...
Stella, I told you to go to your room with Max. She's feel good.
She's not taking it, man.
She'll
Yeah, that's right. I taught her that.
She's like growling.
The past few days,
Stella,
I'm trying to get her,
kick rocks.
little attitude.
That's right.
So
she's back.
But that's cool because I'm sure you were a Cypress Hill fan growing up.
Oh, dude, for sure. I remember being a little kid. Okay, I have a funny story. I'll bring it back to Cypress Hill too. So I remember being a little kid and seeing Cypress video. I guess it was Hand on the Pump on MTV, being like, "Oh my God, these guys are scary!" Like it was like the crazy. It was black and white, and Sendog and Muggs had the hat, like the bucket hat, all low. And it was just like raw, and it had that energy of hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, but it had that same aggressiveness.
Yep.
And so I remember I was a little kid. I don't remember what year. It could have been 92.
Yeah.
And my buddy was working with Rage Against the Machine. He was doing their merch. I think he was kind of managing them. It was this kid, Nathan. And Nathan he used to book shows in his basement. And then he was a piercer. And then he somehow linked up with Rage Against the Machine, like early days.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine was playing the side stage of the second Lollapalooza.
Okay.
So if you check on the computer, I think it was 92. I sneak into Lollapalooza with Rage Against the Machine's fucking merch. They have this van, and I'm under the boxes, like hiding in the back.
Wow.
It's like Nathan and probably some of the dudes from the band, and I'm like hiding in the back underneath the merch, and I'm at Lollapalooza.
That's
so
amazing,
we pull up.
dude.
I'm there, and the side stage. I was probably 16. Side stage is Rage Against the Machine, Cypress Hill. They just popped, just came out. House of Pain.
Wow.
They just came out. Booyah Tribe.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so I'm backstage and just at the side stage, and I'm kicking it there all day, hanging with Booyah Tribe, who are crazy Samoans, but cool. Like cool. I'm just like this weird little young white kid from the suburbs hanging with that. And I remember that's the first time I met Muggs. He pulled up. He had like a kind of like a white Jeep Cherokee or something. He pulls up backstage. I don't know how I get in the conversation with him, but he goes, "Oh, I just recorded this today. Check this out." And it was Funk Dubious. And so he was playing me some stuff in his car. Again, I have no idea why he gave me the time of day, but it was super cool. And like, I always remember that. And I brought that up to him once we started hanging out. I was like, "Yo, I met you here, and you played this music for me."
Yeah.
And it was a really cool experience. And just seeing like, that was right when those, from then on, those bands were main stage.
Massive.
Main stage, Cypress, House of Pain. And I remember like 10th grade, Jump Around came out, right? And trying to find the hat and the shirt, like, what I mean? Like I was the first kid that in my school with the House of Pain shirt.
It's awesome.
And I had the House of Pain hat. And, so like, we were huge fans.
Yeah.
Huge fans. And to me, it was just like stuff like Cypress and House of Pain and Public Enemy. It had that energy of punk and hardcore.
Totally, man.
And it had a message, not too far off from punk and hardcore,
100%,
right?
man. Yeah.
And so it was really easy to connect with that stuff.
Yeah, and I remember Cypress Hill shot how I could kill a man at an Astor Place in Manhattan. That's what the main shot. They were filming that shit in New York too.
Oh, nice.
And I remember seeing Downset with Rage, or no, Rage with House of Pain in New York, the Academy. And then when I was in the Shamrocks and Shenanigans video, I ended up I was in the same video with them, was Muggs and Esteban. That's the first time I met them. And Funk Dubious was there too. Yeah. Later on was shot like 5 or 6 times. He's still alive. I'd love to have him on the pod someday, but Son Doobie, like.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's
met
cool.
Before?
Oh, yeah,
That's cool.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Actually, he came out to the shop. We did a big Soul Assassins event at the shop, and we had and Son Doobie came and hung out, but it was Muggs came and played, and it was like Sick Jackin' from Psycho Realm and Strong Arm Steady, and I think Planet Asia is like, some crazy event that we did.
Yeah.
And that was the fun part about the shop, was just trying to bring we sold sneakers and streetwear, but we tried to bring like the culture behind that to the suburbs, like the artists. So we do art shows with Mir, who he did he's a legendary LA graffiti artist, but he did he's most famous, I would say, for the Limp Bizkit album covers.
Oh wow, okay.
He did the Downset album covers. We did an art show with him, and Patrick Martinez, who's a huge artist now. Have you seen? He does a lot of neon art.
Probably.
You've probably seen. He's known. He does fine art and painting, but the stuff he's really known for are like neon. Sometimes he'll do phrases from hip hop songs in neon and stuff. Awesome artist, and he's huge. He's in museums and huge galleries now, and having him do a show in the shop was pretty incredible. And then we do these in stores, so we had like I mentioned, Sick Jackin' and Muggs, and we had Fashawn and Raekwon, and it's just there is a culture behind sneakers, and it's not just consumer culture, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of tried to shed a light on that. I was really heavily involved with the music side and the art side. My business partner, Jason, was very involved on the sports angle, on the basketball side. He grew up playing high school basketball and then college basketball. He had a lot of connections in that world, and obviously sneaker culture wouldn't exist, right, without basketball.
Sure.
So again, shedding light on that culture, that side of the culture, what was cool.
You a big sneakerhead growing up too? Later on in life?
I'd say later on in life, as a kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it. No.
Yeah.
I remember being in 7th grade and a kid showing up, and he had the canvas Jordan 1s.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yo, those are sick. I want those. But my parents weren't buying me those.
No.
So it was like, when I would it'd be a new school year, and they'd be like, okay, here's $100, buy your outfits for the year.
One pair of shoes.
Yeah, so at that time, no, but you get a pair of Vans, it'd be $20 at that time.
Crazy.
And then, it's like, okay, I'm going to get these shorts and a couple of skate shirts, and that was the thing, right? And then
it's crazy, man. $100 for the whole year.
Yeah, that was it.
OP shorts.
Yeah, so
OP
OP shorts and shit back then.
Yeah. No, we were really. I remember 8th grade was there was a brand from the West Coast. I mentioned on another podcast, but Getaware, and it was a skate company, but baggy shorts. And then 9th grade fuck shorts came out, right? And they're the only people that made these big baggy shorts. We were the first people. Fucked. Fresh Jive. We had a buddy that was a really good skater, from Sid's friend from Riverside, and he was sponsored by Fresh Jive. So he'd come down with boxes of shit, and we'd all trade, and he would show up with his fuck shorts and the Getaware, and everyone just trade I want those, I want this color, and we'd all kind of trade colors. And then Blind jeans came out,
Oh, yeah, Blind.
Yeah,
jeans,
and everyone had I had purple and green, crazy colors.
Damn.
And you couldn't buy baggy clothes, really that baggy style was skater style back then in the early 90s.
And it's back now too. My son wears big ass baggy Carhartt shit.
Big time.
It's crazy at Carhartt, the whole whip thing, how
that's some bullshit.
I show Max pictures of me and all my friends wearing the vest, wearing all Carhartt shit in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I keep telling them, you don't have to go to the Carhartt store on the break. It's go to the Army Navy store. You get the same thing for
exactly.
way less. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, here's
no diss to Carhartt, but
the Carhartt work in progress is you want that Carhartt style, but you want like the modern fits. Like,
Yeah.
so there is a difference. Like,
Yeah.
if I try to get a pair of Carhartt pants right now, like they'd be like size 30 on the bottoms. You know what I mean? Like,
so wide.
too wide. I can't rock
So
that.
they make the same kind with like maybe a slimmer fit over there?
Yeah, like
Wow.
way better cuts, way better
Wow.
materials. So
Okay.
there is a difference. Like,
Okay.
and there's a big difference.
No, there is, yeah.
Really?
Have you gotten
Oh,
some
yeah.
whip stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Trust me, there's a difference.
I've been going to store looking at stuff for
Well,
weeks.
you're a big dude, so you want those big ass probably thighs. Like I went to the Army store and I was like, yo, they had all this sick Ben Davis. I was like, yo, Ben Davis is
Ben
sick.
Davis is-
And I opened them up. I'm like, there's no way I could fit 2 legs in
I
each of these
know.
pant legs. And I was like, I'd love to have Ben Davis that fit me.
Yeah.
But
Find
it's just
yourself
It's
a
so
good-
boxy
just
and
find
so
yourself a
big.
good
There.
tailor. You
Yeah.
found a person.
No, I got a good tailor,
True.
yeah.
You know, like
so. But okay, so you buy the Carhartt, then you take it to a tailor. Just buy the work in progress. You know what I mean? Like,
But it's going to cost you to get it tapered and fixed.
yeah, I'm telling you.
Didn't it kick off in Europe too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Rebranded it in Europe. It came from, yeah.
And
Call me a hater, man.
I just met the rep. He's a hardcore kid.
No,
so,
wow,
yeah,
that's cool. Out here in
Yeah.
LA or
Yeah,
no?
I just met him at the rep thing. We can give him a shout out.
Let's give him a shout out, man.
Yeah, so I just
Oh, the
met
rep
him.
from Carhartt?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
for the work
cool.
in
He's a
progress.
hardcore
Yeah,
kid?
he's a hardcore kid.
What does that mean? He sponsors podcasts and bands?
You never know. Yeah, you never know. He actually
That's cool.
He's in a band with a buddy of mine who's in Half Heart.
Okay.
And they have this new kind of, I guess, kind of rockish type band.
Okay.
And so he was at the Rev Market, and I was like, oh, he was selling their demo, and I was like, oh, I know this band. My buddy Kay's in it. He's like, yeah, I'm in it too. I'm like,
Oh, wow. Small
yeah.
world, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in hardcore, like, at every brand around the world, somebody
man.
is connected to hardcore. Like,
Yeah, man.
it's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, Bobby
Like,
Hundreds grew up in that with Straight Edge, Vegan
Yeah.
back in the day, all that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Where everybody comes from, everybody's all connected.
Yeah,
to it. It's
we did
amazing.
when the last Strife record came out, Witness of Rebirth in 2012, we actually did a shirt with the hundreds and a limited 7-inch with the hundreds. And the cover of that 7-inch was a live picture from the barn, from the record release
Wow,
show
holy
that we
shit.
talked about yesterday,
Yeah.
that Bobby Hundreds took. He took that photo.
Wow.
Yeah,
he was back then, yeah.
Yeah, I think he went to UC Riverside.
Yeah, he did.
And he was a good friend. He was good friends with a photographer at the time that we were super close with. Like, the
Okay.
photographer came and did backups on In This Defiance.
Okay.
And he did some promo shots for In This Defiance. Zach Cordner
Okay.
was his name. And he's a really big photographer. He would do cover
Yeah.
stories of, like, No Doubt and whatever. But he grew up in the hardcore scene, and he might have even been like dorm roommates with Bobby Hundreds or something.
Probably,
He was
yeah.
like super tight with Bobby. So, like,
cool.
I think that's kind of was like Bobby's real connection was like
To the
this
core.
kid Zach. And Zach went, at that in the 90s, Zach was at every show with his camera,
Yeah.
taking sick photos.
Hey, I'm
Still doing
envious
that.
of that. Envious of that. That's so cool.
Yeah, he did capture a lot
Yeah.
back then. Back to Strife for a second, too. You said into this Defiance. Was that one of the biggest records for you guys?
Yeah.
I know One Truth was. That kind of really put you on the map, put you out there. So many anthems, and it was very
Yeah.
hard, and lyrically, too, very straight edge, and very, like, super, like, inspirational to so many people.
Yeah, I think In This Defiance was kind of like our crossover record, right? Like, it was like the perfect mix between like the straight edge hardcore of the moment and like a modern metal band at that time, which was like Sepultura, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was like we were trying to blend those two styles. And that's why at that time we were like, he's like, yo, we're into Sepultura, we're into Fear Factor, we love the Deftones. Like we don't understand why the hardcore kids aren't listening to this, because to us it's just it's heavy music. It's
Yeah.
aggressive music. It's most of it has a good message.
That's a good point.
And yeah, it's slightly different, but I don't want all my music to sound the same.
Right.
Like, it gets very boring if
Yeah,
everything
totally.
you listen to sounds the same. So we're like, we really wanted to make that effort. We're like, hey, we're going to put some of these guests on our record outside of hardcore. So Igor played drums on Overthrow. We had Chino from
on there, I saw
Deftones.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
he sang on Will to Die. which
Chino
was-
will be listening to this. He listens every week. It's my
Yeah.
brother. Shout out to Chino, man.
Dope.
Love you, man.
Yeah, so that was like a crazy experience. And then Dino from Fear Factory came in and played guitar. And for us, it was like, yes, of course it would help us, right? Like exposing our music to their fans.
Totally.
But I think it worked both ways, right? That was like Deftones was on their first record. We loved them, and obviously they were big, but they weren't the massive band that they are now, like or would become after like White Pony, right?
Yeah.
But we were just like such fans that we were like, yo, could you do this? Our manager at the time was from Sacramento, and we were super tight with this band Far from Sacramento and Will Haven, right? And that was kind of like the local bands along with Deftones. So our manager hit him up. He knew him. Troy was his name.
Okay.
I was like, what was her manager's name? Troy. So there we go.
Shout out to Troy.
Yep. Shout out Troy. Troy hit up Chino. We flew him out. We recorded it in the same center as Sound City. There was that studio at the end called Sound Image.
That's
and
cool.
Chino came in for like a day, and he was like, cool, what do you want me to do? Rick kind of had the lyrics, and he's like, cool, went in the studio, and he just fucking did Chino. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't have to give him direction. And I remember me and Sid were like hiding underneath the console because we didn't want him to see us like freaking out, So we're like high-fiving each other, like so he couldn't see us through the window, high-fiving each other, like holy shit, like goosebumps,
Came and killed it and shit. Yeah.
Killed it. He kind of did like a few different takes, and we ended up mixing them together, and it was cool. So we recorded that. The engineer was the same engineer who recorded One Truth, Dave Jagos. I want to say his brother, little fun fact, his brother was, I think, the original singer of LA Guns.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was this crazy metalhead dude that we linked up with. He had the studio off of Hollywood Boulevard in this basement. And
cool.
He was great. He was great. And then we ended up mixing with this awesome producer mixer named Bob Marlette. And Bob, he worked with Black Sabbath and Tony Iommi, and I think he did records for like Saliva, like really big
things.
And it was awesome. And so it's crazy. So we mixed at the studio called Cornerstone, and bring it back to the beginning of our conversation. But so he mixed the record, and then years later when I started doing hip hop stuff, and I was working out of Be Real studio in the Valley. Be Real took over Cornerstone.
Oh,
so
shit.
I walked into the studio. It wasn't called Cornerstone anymore. I walked in the studio. I was like, wait, I know this place. Like I've been here before. It was the same studio.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool. And Bob was great. We recorded this song called Untitled with him. That was on soundtrack to a movie called God Money that Rick was the star.
Oh, God Money. Yeah, I remember that. You mentioned that, yeah.
And the soundtrack was like Strife and Descendants and Far and Pennywise. It was cool. And we recorded that track with Bob, and I used one of Tony Iommi's amps on that. Laney.
Wow.
His Laney. So
that's awesome.
thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
And how was your following at that point, the hardcore kids? Were they stoked on that record?
Yeah.
Was it different for them, or is this more harder?
I think at the time everyone was getting harder. Like, you know what I mean? Like Earth Crisis was hard, but then it came harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think if you didn't want hard music, you weren't listening to Strife anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, Hatebreed was a band, but they weren't like Hatebreed that they would become. Their album didn't come out yet, right? So it was like if you were into heavy music and hardcore, it was like Integrity, Earth Crisis, Strife. Like Madball was hard but different. You know what I mean? It was more bouncy. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was kind of, especially at that time, it was a little different vibe. But so yeah, I think people were ready for it, and I think it crossed over, especially like fresh off a tour with Sepultura, right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna cross over to those kids and maybe be the hardcore record that some of these metal kids
for sure
listen to.
It might be the first time hearing a hardcore record. Yeah, for sure. And you
So-
toured that one for a while too, right?
Yeah, so that came out in 96 or 97, and then we toured 97, 98, and then broke up. So
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. Couple years of touring, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
And when they broke up, where were you working at? What did you end up doing? Is that when you started producing stuff at that point, or no?
Yeah, so I think Sid was running a skateboard shop called Chaos.
Yeah.
And they had locations in Thousand Oaks and Santa Monica.
You went to it before.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Derek?
sure. Yeah.
Got
Oh,
some
shit.
gear. He hooked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had been there for a while. And so I moved. I started working. I think I moved to the Valley, and I was working in Santa Monica at Chaos. Rick was working at the Diesel store right up the street.
shit.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was like the Santa Monica one was like the weirdest thing. It was like this store behind a store, so you had to go through this weird like European like denim store, and then there's like this crazy skate shop.
Wow.
And it was like, real like underground, and they carried like, remember that brand Porn Star? I remember they got a lot of trouble when they opened the Thousand Oaks store, and they were carrying that brand Porn Star. They did this huge display, and the suburban moms were not happy.
Was Chaos AD out at that time?
Oh, this was absolutely.
Oh yeah, he was inspired by that part of the store, right?
I don't know where that came from.
I thought he was with Sepultura, like he was part of the crew.
like that was a name. I think that was a name before.
And Fred Siegel used to be at. I remember seeing you over there.
Close to there, yeah. And
so you were there too. I remember seeing you.
Yeah,
there,
so I went from Chaos, and then I started working at Fred Siegel. I remember, I think Rick left the Diesel store. He was working at the store called Mew Mew on Melrose, which is a line from Prada. So he was in high-end retail.
Damn, you guys in the high-end, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
And then I think he was like, yo, I want to work at Fred Siegel, and he didn't get the job. And so I think I applied there. I was like, cool, what's this? Fred Siegel? Cool, I'm cool. Like Rick was always cool, like kind of like the tastemaker. Like he would do some kind of like outlandish shit. Sometimes that was just too far that we wouldn't go for. But he was always like, he was in on like designer jeans before there was designer jeans. Like, you know what I mean? Like Diesel, when Diesel was cool at one point, like early 90s, he was selling like Diesel and Gerbeau. And Lucky Brand. But these were cool brands. They're not cool now.
Yeah, they were cool back then.
But they were cool. So we had this
this
store in the Oaks Mall, and it was called JMR Chalk Garden. And they sold, like I said, Diesel and Gerbeau and Lucky Brand, and they sold Gypsies and Thieves. Remember that Gat? They sold Gat, and it was crazy. So it was a store there from Salt Lake, and they had one in Salt Lake, one in Glendale, one in Thousand Oaks. And Rick managed the Thousand Oaks one. The dudes from Insight and Iceburn, they worked at the Utah one.
Shit.
So like Jeremy and Mark, they worked there.
I know Jeremy,
Yeah, they worked at that store too. And so they would like talk on the phone, like, oh, we need this size jean. Could you send it over? You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then our buddy Nate, the straight edge kid from Utah, he had worked at that store, and so that was our connection. And actually, this is a funny story. Nate moved to Hawaii. Nate brought us over to Hawaii to play. We canceled our flight, then used those vouchers to go to Sepultura. It's all connected.
All comes full circle.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
It's all connected. But
wow.
Yeah, so it's a small world.
It is.
Yeah.
His homeboy too. He sang in the band Handsome, right?
Yep. He was in the
Yeah,
Handsome.
Moon's good friend. Moon knew those kids growing up.
Handsome was awesome. He was in a band.
That's right.
So Jeremy was the original singer of Iceburn on the promo tape, and they did this really cool band called Lumberjack after.
Okay.
Which was very similar, and then Handsome and Jets of Brazil.
That's right, Jets of Brazil.
Yeah. So
you know a lot about all the genres, man. I feel like you listen to everything, every 7-inch, every demo.
Yeah.
You have a big collection of music?
I do. Yeah, I do. Sometimes I'll like go through. I've got like boxes of cassettes even, and sometimes I'll go through my shit. And I mentioned earlier when we were off air, but like we were talking about like going to Brazil and seeing Derek's first show, and I have like treasure chests, like multiple of like artifacts, like whether it's like photos and
ticket stubs,
flyers.
Wow.
I have like first time in London, like random shit from polls. I pull just like weird, like I collect stuff, but
so
I have
like a hardcore hoarder.
Yeah, but it's all nicely organized in these nice bins. So I was gonna dig through my treasure chest and pull out some stuff, some memories for Derek, some photos of that show, but I'll have to do that later time. I didn't have time today.
That would be cool.
What about T-shirts? You have a lot of old T-shirts?
Oh yeah. Oh
Damn.
yeah. Like
I'm sure you must.
I
have
go.
6 shirts.
I got boxes, and every now and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear this, and it's just like something like, where'd you get that? I was like, oh, I had it in a box. I've had it since I was 19. I mean, I haven't worn it in 20 years. I'm like, I'm gonna bust this out today. But yeah, I got like original like Project X Schism shirts, Judge Schism shirts. I was wearing
any Dag Nasty originals?
No Dag Nasty. I was rocking like a Super Touch shirt the other day that I had since I was like 14, and Vitalo, who manages like Turnstile, he's like, yo, where'd you get that shirt? I'm like, yeah, I've had it. I think I got it from Chris Daly, who played
rocks
drums.
Old shirts too. I see.
Yeah. Well, he's like, it's Mets colored, so I need that. He's like, would you ever get rid of it? And I was like, no, I don't sell stuff. Like, I don't sell my shit.
Right.
And he's like, what if I offered you just like a ridiculous amount of money? And I was like,
I love him.
And I was like, probably not. I was like, honestly, I'd rather like give it to you than sell it to you. But like right now, I want to keep it. But it was like, I think I got that from Chris Daly, who played drums in Resurrection, 108, Jets to Brazil.
Yeah.
Our early East Coast trips, like we would trade shirts with our friends, like, or buy them or whatever, So I have a huge collection of all kinds of stuff.
You have 7 Second shirts?
Nah, so like most of the stuff I have was like bands, either bands I was playing with, seeing in real time, or like bands that had recently broke up, and I was like getting it from a friend. Like I have an original Bold shirt that has the Crippled Youth artwork on the back, and like a weird drawing version of the Boxers, right? I've got like boxes and boxes of shirts, and then boxes of shirts that have gone missing. Like I used to have like the Gorilla Biscuits, like the tour shirt, the summer tour.
Yeah.
I had that. I had the Gorilla Biscuits pizza shirt. I don't have that anymore.
Shit too.
Yeah,
too.
And it's like, it's funny. Everyone hated that Gorilla Biscuits pizza shirt. I bet you if I rocked that now, people would be like, yo, 100%. Where'd you get that shirt? You know what I mean? Like,
it was a white shirt back then.
Yeah.
It was, dude.
But like, I wish I had that, and I must have lost a box in a move or something.
I wish I had my Killing Time long sleeve with a little clock right here.
I've got the Killing Time. They have the one that kind of had like the weird melted clock. Yeah, with the big Killing Time on the back. I've got that. Again, I've had that.
Is it a gray shirt?
Yep. Yeah, Heather Gray.
Too.
I still have that. I've had that since the 90s. I've got 90, probably since 1990.
What about old hip hop shirts?
Okay, a few, but they're sick. I bet
you got Cypress.
No, I've got 2 original Beastie Boys. I have original Beastie Boys Licensed to Ill with the plane crash.
Wow.
And I have original Beastie Boy with just like the diamond logo that says the Get Off My Dick on the back.
The blue one's navy or something?
Mine's black.
Okay.
I've got that, and then I have an original Run DMC.
That's worth
all 3 of those are probably $1,000. Yeah. And I'll bust them out. Actually, I'm rocking the Licensed to Ill shirt in the first World Be Free video.
Nice.
So I'll bust them
Special
out.
occasions, yeah.
Yeah, or like to be honest, that Run DMC it's too thin and too small. I would rip it. If I put that on, it's ripping. That other Beastie Boys is probably ripping. I have like an original Suicidal Join the Army. But it's small. It's small. An original Corrosion from like '87 or something.
I had to retire my token entry though. It was like paper the other day.
Yeah, I saw.
Do you have boxes of stuff back home? Like, do you have merch?
I used to have boxes of flyers, man, of every show. I love flyers.
Yeah,
I collected all those, and my dad threw those out a while.
He did.
Yeah.
I got a crazy collection of Integrity stuff. Speaking of Cleveland,
Oh, Clevo.
I think I have a bunch of stuff too.
There was a time in the probably like 94 or 95 we played a show at Peabody's with Integrity, and we stayed at Dwid's house. He had like that weird house over a warehouse kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but he had all his screen printing stuff in a room downstairs. Right. So, and there was like there she goes. There was this.
I'll be back.
There was this weird. It might have been a secondhand store or Army store across the street. We went and bought all this shit, and screened all our own one-of-a-kind Integrity shirts and Dark Empire shirts. So I have like an one-of-a-kind Integrity gas station jacket. And I have like crazy like Integrity, shirt with Dark Empire on the back on this crazy green color, just like all this one-of-a-kind stuff that we just made at his house.
It just changed the game. Like once you figured out you could screen print stuff, and he was doing that in high school.
Yeah.
Then it was just like every other day making shirts. It was like, I remember that vividly, just consistently making our own shirts for whatever occasion. Like, oh, let's try this shirt. Let's make this shirt. Let's make that shirt.
And it was cool. And he had like a really cool setup at the time. I feel like we must have stayed there for a few days.
Right.
And he had all these like, like the 12-inch Star Wars figures. He had them everywhere. And we're like, oh, those are so sick.
Yeah.
I started trying to collect those, after that. Like, those are cool. I want those too. And just like that time, the music coming out of Cleveland was so awesome. Like the early Ringworm.
Ringworm stuff is great. And Frank Novinek,
yeah.
Represent.
Yeah. Frank is 3 Gun.
James.
Oh, Frank 3 Gun. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Shout out to James Ringworm. Definitely.
And you had your Playboy skate crew, you and Dwid.
Yeah, we had a
skate team.
Team Playboy.
I heard a story from Igor. From Igor about the first time you met Dwid.
Oh man.
He said you punched him.
Oh, it was a fight.
Is that true?
Right.
No, as a little kid.
It could have been that I don't think it was Dwid, but I definitely know the person I did punch.
Okay.
When I was
like you were like skateboarding, like you're like little kid skateboarding or something.
I mean, I remember Dwid because he came from, I don't know, he was going to school as a really good friend of mine, like a boarding school.
Yeah.
And he just had a lot of weird stuff, but he was really getting into the whole screen printing. And like I said, that
super DIY shit, right?
And that's when it was like everybody, nobody was really doing that. We're like 15, 16. It's like, he's like, no, this is how these shirts that we want so badly, they're making them themselves. So
it's
he learned
so cool, man.
So what did he go to like a continuation or like a board, like for bad kids? Okay, so let me tell you, the kids in my school, they went to continuation. They would take a screen printing class, like the same as the kids in my school. Like our first shirts, actually that's not true, but they would learn the same thing. They would go to this continuation, and I think, we're going to teach you a trade because you're not going to make it in the world.
Right?
Why don't you learn to screen print? And so, like, a lot of early shirts were the same thing. It was like these kids that went to these continuations, they would teach them to do that. That would be a class
it was like
take.
This was like kind of like that school, but it was like for super. I mean, you had to have some money to go.
Oh,
to
okay.
school.
Now this was like
definitely
you get
not
kicked out of school, they'll send you to a different school. You get kicked out of there, you're going to continuation.
No, it wasn't like a school like my dad taught it, like one of those type of schools where, there were kids that were just like, I'm going to be, working on motors and electronics and mechanics. They're just, but he was, it was for those type of kids. But I mean, I think it was amazing. Like did you ever make shirts, Toby?
We did.
I imagine you.
We did like the spray paint ones, like cut the cardboard out. We didn't have screen printing things back then.
Because that stuff, it was like, I mean, I guess if you went to school, it was the only thing that he would skip school all the time, but you learn how to do the photograph, like get a photo of something, have it on the screen. It's like, it's there forever.
Yeah, you burn the screen.
We can burn the screen. We can do whatever we want.
So cool.
With it. And I was like,
So the thing for us was we started Strife. We met Mike
Charlie was doing that too,
from
Civ,
We met Mike Hartsfield, who had New Age Records at the time. He was already doing his own screen printing. So when we were like, 14 or whatever, he already had a professional screen printing set up. Again,
nice.
He was living in Big Bear. And I remember actually the first Strife shirt, like Sid. And
which you probably have in mint condition.
I do. I got like 3 colors. Wow. I almost have... I think I have every Strife shirt that was ever made in the 90s, not the new stuff. Every single one. So I have a whole bin that's like,
just Strife.
That's cool. God, I wish I would have done that. Did you collect all your H2O?
Never worn.
I did, but I gave them away to everybody. All my friends don't have shit.
I don't have anything.
I got nothing, dude.
Yeah, I've got one of the...
Got the memories, bro.
I've got one of the first H2O shirt, which I'm sure you made.
Varsity,
the Varsity. Because I remember we toured with Sick of It All. Craig had one.
Oh, okay.
And so we're like, yo, Craig's got one. I need one.
I had a lot of H2O
Yeah,
gear,
and
man.
so we played the first time we played with the real H2O. Like we
Okay.
played with Sick of It All when you'd come out, right?
Yeah.
But we played with H2O, 96. It was Lost Horizon in Syracuse, Strife, Sick of It All, and Civ.
Wow, that's
Syracuse
right.
shows.
Yeah.
John
That was
McKay,
sick,
did he
yeah.
set that up?
John McKay was
Probably.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the
was
I remember
there.
those shows. It was an amazing show. We
Yeah.
played that show too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I bought my H2O shirt. I still got it.
Sick.
Chad got one too.
Wow.
But I still got that shirt.
That was a great show.
And
I
you
remember
know,
that.
after the show, ours was like an early show, and Bad Brains played after
Whoa.
without HR.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who was saying the guy from Faith No More?
I believe so.
Oh, Chuck
Wow,
Mosley.
Yeah,
I
rest in
believe
peace.
Oh, rest in peace, Chuck, man.
He's
So-
he's a great singer, man.
I
Damn.
know. I love
And that
Chuck,
was
man.
probably our first time seeing Civ too.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Really? Wow.
at that time, it was right
Uh-huh.
when Civ came out.
Yeah, okay.
Unless we saw, maybe we saw him at the Warped Tour first. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I could be
Maybe.
wrong, but I feel like this might have been pre-Warped Tour. I
It
don't
seems
know.
like you play with like all the bands that play with almost every band that you liked or met so many
Seems
people
that
through
way,
your
right?
band.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys were everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, you weren't just like a weekend warrior local band. Like a lot of bands really didn't make it out of Cali. You guys really just went for it.
No, yeah. We would tour heavy, and yeah, and kind of make friends,
Yeah.
make friends and lifelong friends, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Right,
Like I'm still
yeah.
friends with a lot of these people I'm talking about.
Yeah, you are.
I'm still friends with Charlie. He's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, he's amazing. Yeah.
Charlie.
Charlie.
What's his nickname?
Great.
Moose.
Yeah, Moose.
Moose.
Yeah, the Moose.
It's funny. He's like, if I had to pick like top 5 New York hardcore guys, it's a dude from Cleveland.
Wow.
No, but he's like, he was always just
true.
like the nicest guy. Like
Yeah.
when we played with Civ that first time, I talked to Charlie and Sammy. You know what I mean? It was like those were the guys. And later we played with, Civ like years later at like a festival. It was like, oh, I'm hanging out with Charlie on the beach.
Yeah.
Like it's just his personality.
Yeah,
He's just
absolutely.
super, super nice.
He's a popular guy, man. I gotta say, in high school, his high school, he was a grade older than I was, but we went to different high schools. He was super popular with everyone.
Yeah.
like
Outgoing.
hip hop kids,
Yeah.
whoever from whatever scene, everyone knew him, and he was just
Most
like
likable
real-
guy in high school
most
yearbooks.
likable, like totally. Every party he'd be there dancing or whatever, not afraid to
Yeah.
be himself.
I
And
love
it was
that.
just like people love that, and it's
Very outgoing.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. No, he's definitely like top.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, it's like later, it's weird. Like I mentioned, like in the 90s, like Madball didn't really tour. You know what I mean? So like I didn't really know those guys till like more
We were
recently.
touring Europe more than
Yeah, oh,
US.
for sure.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
they were like a Europe. They were like a Europe
Yeah.
with some East Coast. So it's like I didn't know Freddie or Hoya till
Later on.
kind of recently,
Yeah.
like last 10 years. And like again, great. Hoya's amazing,
bro.
hilarious, like not what you would ever expect.
Yeah, man.
And,
Yeah.
and just
Sweetheart, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah, one of the funniest guys, and so that's really really cool. But they weren't. I don't know why. Like they weren't a band. Like if we were on the East Coast, like Strife and Madball didn't play together.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That is
It was
interesting.
terrifying seeing them in Wetlands.
Oh, a while
I was
back
just
then.
like-
the New York show was a while back.
They
then.
were wild. And I was like,
Wetland,
I can't.
yeah.
I was like, man, they're gonna be. When I saw them play in Europe, I was like, these kids are gonna kill each other or something, But I figured I was like so used to seeing them in New York, or it's
Yeah.
just
It's
like
just so different in Europe.
characters like in the pit. And I was like, oh boy,
Yeah,
here we go.
It's way different.
Oh my god,
Wetlands was incredible.
Wetlands,
Though. Amazing venue,
we
man.
we did so, but out of New York, we toured with a lot was Warzone.
Okay.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, so
nice.
that was like
and you were label mates too.
we were label
Yeah.
mates, and I remember Warzone. The first time I met anyone from Warzone was touring Japan,
yeah.
and they had a layover at LAX before they went to New York. So
Yeah.
they booked a show. I picked them up at LAX. We booked a show together at the Showcase Theater. And then they came and stayed at my house for a couple days.
Yeah.
And so we are super tight with
More Gosmax.
with Ray and everybody, Todd the Kid.
Todd the Kid's awesome, dude.
And Vinny Value.
Rest
and,
in peace.
All of them. Yeah. And Jason, so those were, at that 90s. And that 90s Warzone is so good. I feel
Sounds
like
Revolution. What was it?
The Sound of Revolution.
Great, man.
It's a great record,
It
and
is,
I feel
dude.
like super underrated. Like people stopped listening.
I'm gonna go back and check that out because I
great.
remember the album cover.
It's good. It's good.
People took the band for granted, man, and I'll keep 100 on here. That they would play all the time, and people would not go so much. And I remember going. My wife was really tight with Ray, so we go to as many times. If I was home, we go see them play. And during that record, the record was amazing too. And I think maybe that record got really slept on. It's a really great record.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
And that era, they killed it live.
Right.
Like, first of all, like Ray was straight edge at the time.
Yeah.
He would be X up, but he would be in the crowd, just
Always,
like
dude.
such a cool energy, such a cool guy.
Great front man, yeah.
And so we did a lot of touring with them on the East Coast. Actually, the shirt that I spoke about yesterday, the Strife to the Bank, someone made it, I think, in Richmond. We were on tour with Warzone.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but like just
Right to the bank. You have one of those?
I don't actually.
What?
Sid had one.
You need it for your collection, man.
I know. I think Sid might have like punched the dude and took it. I don't even know. Yeah. But I do want one. I've seen them. Actually, you know what's so crazy is like some Indonesian kid bootleg that shirt, like not knowing it's like a diss. Like it's a diss shirt, and he like I found a bootleg.
Wow.
Which is kind of cool. I'll
It's
take a
kinda
bootleg.
cool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But they,
That's
maybe they
amazing.
just didn't realize, like, oh, it's a cool Strife shirt.
Yeah, miscommunicate. Yeah.
I
Wow.
see. I think it's funny. Like we have a little Strife group chat, and I'll find like funny bootleg shirts, and I'll screenshot it and send it, and it'll be like a classic is Strife, New York hardcore. We're like, oh yeah, huge fans. The To the Bank one is another.
Wow.
But every now and then you'll see like somebody made like a sick hat, like embroidered New Era, and they're selling it in Indonesia. I'm like, I want one, or like a towel or a tote bag. I'm like, I want one of these, or a watch.
Those
They make
are
all
the
kinds of
coolest.
crazy shit.
Some of the
Sometimes they're
bootleg
better
stuff's-
than your merch.
Yeah, some
right?
of the bootleg shit's incredible.
Mexico has great
Mexico,
bootleg stuff.
insane,
Yeah,
dude.
and they hook you up.
Yeah,
if
South
you
America
ask.
too.
Yes.
Outside your shows, like some really good shit they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do that in Italy. Crazy.
Well, it's
That's right.
legal to
Oh,
do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like you would show up to Italy and there would be like circus tents.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
seriously, like 50 vendors. They would have like when we were Sepultura, they had like 50 shirts. They had like dress vests, like a vest that like ridiculous.
Maybe you want to go out to
Yeah,
eat or
but they would
have a nice dinner.
They would go to like the first show on the tour, buy one piece of every merch, and so have every merch that you were selling on tour plus 50 other things.
and they did it so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah,
You
super
remember-
quick.
Super quick.
And there was nothing you could do.
No,
Can't do shit
not at
about
all.
it.
Nope,
Yeah.
not at all.
I mean, there's a famous story that was told many times. I'm not sure even on the podcast, but Craig may have mentioned it. It was in Krang magazine where Sick of It All, we all ran out. Me, Eric Rice from
Eric.
Smokey.
Yes.
And
Yo, Tommy.
to fight these bootleggers in Italy on Scratch the Surface. They had amazing long sleeves. And we came running through the doors and we were outnumbered and violence occurred and people got hit and hurt. And then we got chased back in. And on the side of the bus, they wrote like Manchester Mafia.
Wow.
And then Mark Gamidi's like, we have to secure the bus. They're coming tomorrow. And then he put like fucking like, it looked like he put like fences around our bus. The next day. Nobody ever came, but they wrote on the
Right.
bus. We're like, oh shit.
You know what's crazy? Same thing happened when we were on tour with Sick of It All. Every night, it would be like Mark from MAD
Yes.
and Ingo and like
Ingo.
any of the big dudes, and they would just go out just destroying bootleggers.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Destroying them. It's like they would take their stuff and Mark's 7 foot tall.
He's
They'd
huge,
fight-
but
they'd
you,
fight
but
for
you
it.
got to
Fight
be
for it.
careful because those guys that are running those in Italy, especially, they're run by a mafia.
Oh, yeah, Italy!
So you get- yeah.
Italy, I don't think they would do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I
'cause
think they knew.
that's-
But everywhere else, it was like, oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
bootleggers. We're gonna get the bootleggers. Like, all
Yeah,
right,
we
have
didn't
fun.
know, and like
Yeah.
I remember
Right.
Craig swinging a pipe and hitting Eric Rice in the arm. There was all kinds of things that went down that night. But bottom line is they wrote on the side of our bus like their name. We're like, oh shit, this is real. We didn't know it was real or not.
That
Mark
can
said,
be
this is
terrifying.
really
man.
scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they chased us back. We locked the doors,
Jeez.
and the shirts were nice. So like built the last Scratch the Surface
Right.
shirts or something.
That's funny.
So life now, you're doing the real estate, which you've been really helpful with me recently, talking about some things off the pod, like with my life.
Yeah.
But how'd you get into that?
So it's funny. So my mom was actually a real estate agent my whole life growing up. Very successful.
Wow.
She was like a president of the board of realtors, like in the 805 at the time in Ventura County, and super successful. But it was never something I was like, oh, I want to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, oh, cool, my mom does this, and
Right.
that was kind of it. And from working in stores, owning my own store, running clothing brands, running a record label. I was like
Producing bands.
Yeah, but I was just like, yo, I have to be my own boss. Like, I can't go and work for somebody else and clock
The
in.
man.
Yeah. No, but it's like you need some sort of freedom. I still play in bands, so I still want the freedom. Like, oh, Strife's gonna go to go to Europe. Cool. I need 2 weeks off. Like, I can't. A traditional job's not gonna give you that. Maybe they'll do it once, right? Or whatever,
Yeah.
So real estate, I was kind of brainstorming, like, what can I do? I've worked in retail. I've sold high-end clothes.
Yeah.
I've
I've
worked
seen
in
those $1,000 Circle Jerk shirts.
Yeah. It's true, man.
Bedazzled or whatever.
Bedazzled, yeah. It's crazy. So Fred Siegel, he gets a lot of shit. Fred Siegel, he invented the designer jean. You would not be wearing jeans. Like, jean was like workwear. Like, you're going to work on your farm, you wear a pair of jeans. Like, it was not fashion.
Wow.
Fred Siegel, it's a person. He passed away recently, but he actually.
You got to meet him?
Yeah, of course.
cool.
Yeah, he'd cruise around. Dude, he would come to the store with the Dalai Lama, no joke.
What?
He was like
dude.
really tight with the Dalai Lama. Like, there was many times the Dalai Lama was in Fred Siegel.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm tight with Derek Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. But yeah, the Dalai Lama would come and stay.
Wow.
Like, Fred Siegel was like really into Buddhism.
Did not know that, man.
And he had all this property and into yoga. And the Dalai Lama would stay with Fred Siegel and his properties in Malibu.
Wow.
Like Fred. So it's a crazy story. But so he had the idea of like, hey, we're going to make these jeans into fashion. And so he took there was like at the time probably Levi's and Lee, and he's like, we're going to make them fashion. We're going to tailor them and alter them and make them tight and do the bell bottoms and later bedazzle. Like, but he was doing that by hand, and he had a little hut on Melrose and Crescent Heights. It was like a converted house. And then as the business grew, he kept buying all the houses. And the houses eventually became that Fred Siegel building on.
No way.
Yeah, that's
Really?
all like 4 houses put together.
Holy shit, in the corner of Melrose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's like 4 houses
It's
put
got all
together.
the green all over the
Yep.
building.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible, dude.
And then
Huh.
the dude just starts buying real estate. He owns like so much property on Melrose and Malibu. It's pretty crazy.
Okay.
And it just
insane.
came from jeans.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so like, I remember
he inspired Carhartt Whip.
for sure.
Changed
I mean,
that to more brands.
at the time, like when I worked at Fred Siegel was the best fashion retailer on the West Coast.
Okay.
100%. World famous, known around the world, Japan, whatever, Italy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're coming to the West Coast and you're into fashion, you're going to Fred Siegel. If you carry a brand, your number one goal is to get it into Fred Siegel. Because once you get into Fred Siegel, the buyers of all the other stores, Nordstrom's and Bloomingdale's and every other cool, like, not just the department stores, but the cool stores, like opening ceremonies or whatever, they're going to pick you up because you're in Fred Siegel, right?
Interesting.
That changed, like, with the internet and all that.
And all the
like,
stores on Fairfax, too, I'm sure.
yeah, but, it changed, and exclusivity and whatever, it changed. But, like, at that time, like, there were so many, that was, like, if you did a brand, that was your number one goal.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, I worked there. I mean, I can tell you crazy stories. So, like, every celebrity in the world worked there.
I'm sure,
I
man.
shopped there. And so, like, I've helped, like, everyone from Jay-Z to Robin Williams to Julia Roberts to Paris Hilton to Bruce Springsteen.
I'm sure
to,
Rap was in there. Rap was always eating lunch there. That was his spot, Rappaport's lunch spot.
Oh, yeah. I saw Rappaport one time. Actually, he came in. It was on Halloween.
He was always eating lunch there.
He
though.
came in on Halloween, and I was dressed up as one of the Warriors. And he was the only person that knew my costume. And he's like, yo, dope outfit. And I'm like, yep. But he was the only
New York shit.
Yeah, he was the only person that knew that. But like literally Russell Simmons, like
his old boss.
we had there you go. So we used to
Shout out
carry
Russell.
Fat Farm.
No, but we used to carry Fat Farm.
I'm sure you did.
Right when we
Damn.
carried like Fat Farm and Mecca and Nietzsche and all that shit when it was hot.
FUBU.
No,
That was
no.
too
You're like,
No.
no.
But like we had an in-store. Listen to this. We had
Echo.
an in-store. I think it was for a Nietzsche, I believe. Is it Nietzsche or Fat Farm? But I want to say it was a Nietzsche. It was Fat Farm.
Okay.
With Jay-Z and Lil Kim.
Wow.
An in-store. And
Did they do that song?
they
No?
didn't perform. They just
Okay.
did like a signing. And
That's fucking crazy.
dude, Russell Simmons used to come in. He would fly in from New York, and he wouldn't bring luggage. So he'd go to our store and buy Fat Farm. He would buy his own brand to like
Wow,
wear for the
that's
weekend or whatever. It was crazy.
That's pretty sick.
But like literally everyone you could think of shopped there. I've seen them. I've helped them. Morrissey. I've helped Morrissey.
wow.
Yeah, like
He was buying Fat Farm too.
no, no.
Just kidding.
But there's
Imagine.
Joe Montana buying Fat Farm and like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, at your store? Wow.
Arnold, Kobe Bryant used to shop there. Yeah,
Damn.
like literally, Montel Jordan, like just like
This is how we do it.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. So like
Love
my friends would sometimes come and like, oh, we're gonna meet you for lunch, and they're like, oh my God, Heather Graham's there, and then there's like
Roller girl.
yo, like I was eating lunch one time, and this was pretty cool. Billy Corrigan from Smashing Pumpkins was sitting behind me with somebody, and he's like singing a Black Sabbath song to this person, like
Wow.
Dave Chappelle, like you name it. So it was like it was a really cool,
Super Hollywood, yeah.
yeah,
too.
super Hollywood, but like cool.
Yeah.
And you know, most of the time, everybody was cool. I would say for the most part, but you know, there would be like I remember you came in one time. You're like, I can't believe they got a $600 Circle Jerk shirt. And I'm like, yeah, it's a vintage Circle Jerk shirt that they fucking found and
crazy.
bedazzled. But you know, it's like you look on eBay now. That Circle Jerk shirts without the bedazzles are fucking $600.
Yeah, that's true,
You know,
that's
it's
true,
like
true.
you know they were ahead of the curve on those vintage tees.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it was fun. So I was a manager and then a buyer. So I got to travel a lot doing that and you know meeting a lot of people and I got to help brands like
You can pick brands, yeah.
and you know so there was a lot of brands at the time that hardcore kids were involved in, whether it was like Paul Frank or like my friend started a brand, one of the dudes from Throwdown, and he started a brand, and so we picked it up. So
It's cool.
they get in the store. That's super
The Hundreds
helpful.
was in there too, I think, right?
I don't think so.
Okay,
They
okay.
ended up having a store. They might have been actually. They were in the Santa Monica Fred Siegel in the sneaker store conveyor.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was there on and off for like I don't know 12 years.
They let you
or
go on tour
longer.
and come back. They were cool about that.
Yeah, sometimes I would quit and then I'd come back. You know, it's just like they were cool. I was a good worker, so they were
Yeah.
cool. And then eventually, I started my own store, Tradition, and my business partner ran the sneaker store in Fred Siegel, Santa Monica. So we both came from
Gotcha.
there. We both grew up in Thousand Oaks. He went to Westlake High. I went to Teal High. We connected. We started that store. From that store, I started kind of. We were running like our own blog on the shop,
Yeah.
getting more into hip hop. That's how I started getting heavy more into the producing.
Yeah.
And my first I did a full mixtape that I produced, which was called Carry On Tradition. That was something I did. Came out. It was for the store. Came out with Two Dope Boys, which was awesome. That was
That's
like
sick, yeah.
the best blog at the
It
time.
was.
I produced it, and we had everyone from like Planet Asia, Apathy, Rascas,
Sick.
Be Real, Ryu, Freddie Gibbs.
Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah, so
Way back then too.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It's awesome, man.
That's
So
crazy.
I produced the whole thing and put together, and I was working at Be Real Studio. I was recording everything there, and then once I did that, I kind of we were doing in stores with Muggs, and I linked up with Muggs and started doing
Crazy,
some
man.
production with him, and we ended up doing a band together. Yeah, so it's crazy, and now I'm doing real estate. So
I know, but you've done everything in the industry, like all the culture, from the clothing to the music to the producing to playing it to writing it, selling it. All that's amazing, man.
so
It's
okay,
fucking
so that
nuts.
was the thing. So then I'm thinking,
And you had no
sorry.
college?
I have an associate's degree, which I finished up like in between tours.
Oh, wow.
So like I started at Moore Park and took some classes, and then I went back to Valley College, and over time I was like, let me just try to finish this. But it's whatever. Yeah, it's like it was just kind of.
Do you use
my
any
own
of it
thing.
in life? What you learned?
I mean, of course, you learn stuff. I think you can always apply anything you learn, like whether it's like something you learn from a YouTube video or something you learn in a classroom, you can apply that. But also like, I don't know, like class, you probably learn how to speak in front of people or meet people or whatever, whatever it is, relate to people. Like when I went to college, there was this kid with cerebral palsy in my class. He had a wheelchair and he had like this crazy tube. He had to talk. And so they were like, okay, who wants to take notes for Vladimir? Nobody wanted to take notes. I was like, I'll take notes for Vladimir. So like I would take notes for this kid, just, but it's like a nice way. I think it just teaches you just interacting with people.
Totally.
Right.
But I also think touring at a young
more than
age and
anything.
meeting people made you a very outgoing person. You could talk to any, you know what I'm saying? Like
you have to. And so that's the thing now.
It helps in the real world of being selling houses.
Yes. I can meet anyone.
Right.
And have a conversation about anything.
Totally.
Like I went on this listing appointment for actually a house that was probably about $3 million.
Damn.
And it was this 80-year-old dude. And he was a Jewish guy. I'd look around the room. Oh, are you from Israel? Yes, of course. Oh, my brother was born in Jerusalem. Oh, so we talk about that. And he's like, oh, what do you do? He was in the fashion industry. Oh, you were in the fashion. I worked at Fred Siegel. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like you have these ways to connect with people.
I love that, man.
That's more than just like, oh, let me sell your house.
Well, you have real life experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really good. I can sit and talk to anybody. And a lot of that has to do with my different experiences, but yes, traveling the world.
Totally, man.
And that's why. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do as a career to actually make enough money to maybe buy a house? Like there was a time in like 2008, I was interested in buying a house. I didn't have my shit together. I couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
Like that house then was $400,000 and that house now is $1 million.
Totally.
I missed that window of opportunity, right? So I'm like, okay, what can I do to apply my skills and still be my own boss, but make more money? And everything just pointed to real estate. It's like you're your own boss. It's customer service driven, right? It's connection driven. I have contacts and friends and a network of, hardcore kids, fashion kids, hip hop kids, you know what I mean? Like all over. And so
they're all getting to the ages where they want to probably settle down. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you get into real estate and a lot of people have this illusion that like, oh, I'm going to get my real estate license and the business is going to come to me. I'm going to join a brokerage and all of a sudden I'm going to have these listings. And it doesn't work that way.
You got to hustle hard, man.
You're your own boss. You only get paid when you make a sale. And you're responsible for your business. So no one's showing up with like, oh, do you want to buy this house? You want to sell this house? It doesn't work that way. So a lot of that comes from your network. And so I got my license. I spoke to a few friends that were real estate agents like, hey, what do you think I should do? They recommended, I'm working for Compass now. At the time, it was called Pacific Union. We got bought out by Compass. He's like, my buddy worked there. He's like, you should go there. They're really cool. I went and interviewed with them. And my first sale came from my sphere of influence, from my friend group.
Yeah.
So I'm on tour with Berthold City, and one of my buddies was just like, oh, you're in real estate now? Like, my dad just sold his house, and he's looking to buy a house out here, and, he needs some help. Can you help my dad? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he was doing it's called a 1031 exchange, and so basically he had a rental property in the Bay Area, and if you want to sell a rental property and you don't want to pay taxes on the capital gains, so like he had this property that I don't know, he maybe bought it for $500,000 and now it's worth $2 million. Jeez. So you sell that for $2 million and you got to pay those taxes, but you don't want to pay those taxes, right? So you do a transaction. It's called the 1031 exchange, where they take those proceeds, they hold it in an exchange account, and you buy a new rental property.
Yeah.
You can buy, it's got to be a like rental property, and it has to, be a rental property for 2 years. So he had sold his house. He had to identify, I think you can identify up to 3 properties within 45 days, and then you have to close within, I don't know, 180 days or something, 120 days. So the ball was already rolling. The timer was ticking, right? The clock
right.
was ticking. So I'm like, cool, let's set it up. He was looking in Venice and Playa Vista, and, he was living in the Bay Area. He would come down, and we would just like marathon showings, just like, yo, we're going to see 12, 15 places in one day, because that's all we had. He came down 2 weekends, and we identified a property he liked. I made we wrote an offer, and, it was my first transaction. He may not have even known that. And the listing agent is like the top agent in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh no. And it's like not just her, it's like 2 other people on her team. I'm making these phone calls, just trying to act like I know what I'm doing, And
damn,
the property was $2.2 million on top of that. So it's like, I'm just like trying to keep things cool and make this deal go through. And I can't really fuck this up because, if we don't get this property, yes, we can fall back on another one. But like, we had to identify 3 and close on one of them in a set amount of time. Otherwise, he's paying capital gains tax on $2 million on the profit, or like $1.5 million, right? So we ended up closing right before Christmas. We ended up getting it under ask, fully furnished.
What?
Wow, man.
And then it ends up appraising like $50,000 higher than he bought it. So he already got built-in equity. And then on top of that, the day we close, I get him a renter. So it's a rental property.
Yeah.
So
Jesus,
it
man.
comes with a renter we got a 1-year lease. So it just aligned.
Killed it,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That was your first one?
That was my first deal. So it was
Wow,
a
that's
sale,
amazing,
a
dude.
rental,
Yeah.
and we ended up, I can't say who it is, but we ended up renting it to a very known player from the what's the fucking football team from Philadelphia?
Okay.
All right.
Who is it?
I don't know. I'm not a sports guy, man.
Football.
I hate Philly.
Come on, man.
I hate the Eagles. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Eagles.
there
There
we
you go.
go.
Boom.
That's sick, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, one of
That's
the
your
Eagles.
first sale?
Yeah, that's my first
I'm a
sale.
Browns
Wow.
fan. Come on.
Of course you are.
And how many houses have you sold now? You know?
I don't
You
know.
don't keep track
Really?
anymore?
Nah, I mean, I can like look
is
it up.
Really that meant like?
No, it's not like
How
it's not
many
like
years
hundreds.
doing it now?
It's not like hundreds. I'm going on to my 4th year. No, it's not like hundreds, but it's like this last year's been like really, really busy.
So over 20 at least, easy.
Yeah, it's like in that. Yeah, it's like in that
Wow,
ballpark.
dude.
Yeah,
And so it's only as hard or easy as you make it. You have to go for it. You have to hustle hard.
you
Even now, 4 years later.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a
I'm just
grind.
hitting a stride right now. Yeah, you got to. Yeah.
Because there's so many realtors out there. Yeah.
So here's the thing: there was a study, and in the U.S., there's more real estate agents than there are houses to sell.
Dang.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. that makes
Holy shit.
So, yes. So you got to hustle, and you need to, like, what's going to make you different than
exactly.
Joe the realtor,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like, and so it's like, you got to connect with. It's connections, everything, really.
100%.
And staying on top of things and remembering people. And so it's all networking. And I've been so good at networking my whole life, which is why I
Yeah.
have friends, that from 20 years or 30 years, So it's like
100%.
networking, and it's putting yourself out there. It's letting everybody know, hey, this is what I'm doing. Not only am I doing it, I'm doing it great. I work for the #1 independent brokerage in the U.S.
So cool, man.
I work on a team with the top 8. The team I'm on, my boss, he's out of every agent in the U.S., he's ranked in the top 100. So it's like
Wow.
I could throw his name around if I need to, and so that all helps. And then it's just meeting people and hustling, and it's like helping people and not expecting anything back, right?
Mhm.
Like. That's fine.
That's probably what you've been doing your whole life.
Yeah, but it's not It's not about every transaction is not about the paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in the service business, and if you're there to help, to service people, to make their lives easier, they're going to remember that, right?
Yep.
And I might not sell something to you, but when your friend's like, "Hey, I'm thinking of selling my house," you might say, "Yo, Andrew's tight. He helped me with this little
Absolutely.
deal. He
Yeah.
gave me all this
100%, yeah.
information. You got to call my buddy Andrew." And that's where a lot of my businesses come from.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Word of mouth, and it's like, I just sold this condo. It's kind of connected to the hardcore world. So I got a call from my buddy Blair. Blair sang for this band called Knapsack. They're from Sacramento, kind of actually Sergio from Sam I Am played with them. Really big in kind of like the indie emo world.
Okay.
And Blair's doing real estate out in Palm Springs, and Blair calls me up. He's like, "Hey, I got a buddy selling his place in Highland Park. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Like, give me his number. So I call him up, and he's kind of like a punk dude from Florida. He owned this place in Highland Park. He was in some bands on No Idea Records. So he's like in our world, like not a Strife fan. I don't care, but like in our world, which is cool. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's funny. Blair mentioned your name, and it was the second person that mentioned you when I was asking about real estate." So he's like, "I knew I had to work with you." I'm like, "Cool, let's do it." So I listed his house. We ended up doing like a big renovation before listing that he lived in the Bay Area. So I kind of had to take charge and handle that while he was gone. And then he flew down and we ended up like staging it ourselves. And I put in all this extra work that no other real estate agent's doing. Like no other real estate agent is doing it. And he knew that. He's like, I was looking at this other agent and they wouldn't even, come help me with a renovate, like hiring a contractor or whatever, and I was like, that's cool. I'm going to go that extra mile. And we ended up listing his house, selling it the first weekend on the market, like $20,000 over asking, highest price per square foot in the complex. And he's super happy. And he's like, "Yo, not only are you my real estate agent for life, I'm referring you to anybody I know." And it's
awesome,
like,
dude.
That's why you go that extra mile, right? And,
I love that.
Makes sense.
And there's no retirement plan in music. And so like.
No.
Not yet, man. I'm waiting for somebody to come together with the amazing union.
You got that voice.
Musicians.
You got that voice of gold. So I think
you're trying to get voiceovers, man.
I think you're gonna do some trailers.
No. I have no problem with thinking that.
Well,
that's what we need.
Hey,
man.
So this is the other thing.
Okay.
I've always
you might know somebody.
I do know
that's
somebody.
true.
I do know somebody. No, I was about to say. So I've always been the person to like connect dots my whole life.
Too,
like,
brother.
Somebody does this.
Yeah.
I know somebody that does this. I'm putting you together.
I love that.
I've always done that.
Too.
Again, I feel like that's very helpful in the real estate business.
100%.
Putting those dots together and making these introductions. But I do know somebody.
Nice.
And you may know them in a weird way too.
Okay.
So we could talk about this
Okay.
off air. I'll make a
Wow.
good recommendation.
Thank
That's
you,
great,
man. I
man.
appreciate that.
Because you said it's like a tight circle to get into. It's like
I
It
heard
is.
it's like a very
Okay,
tight
chosen
circle,
few.
especially LA. It's just like the inner circle.
I got two people who work on the management side.
That's
There you
exactly what I've been. God, it's
See,
so
that's
weird, man. I
perfect
put it
magic,
out there.
man.
Yeah, and that's what it is. You put it out, and
Right.
it
Voice,
comes.
man.
And so
Perfect.
like if you're a real estate agent and you don't put it out that you sell real
Yeah.
estate, you're not getting that sale.
It
Like if
makes
I didn't
sense.
happen to mention to my friend, like, "Oh, I just got my real estate license," his dad would have bought that
Right.
house with somebody else.
But it's
Yeah.
really word of mouth. I can see it. I mean, I see you online, with things with certain sales. I'm like, God, it's a beautiful house.
Yeah.
A lot of the listings are incredible. And of course, it would be the first person I would go to be like, oh, yeah, I know somebody that
Me
that
too.
works in,
Yeah.
And like we've been so stressed about our situation that I called them up on speaker
Oh, right.
last week, and within like a 20 minutes phone call, we were so at ease. We we knew exactly what we needed to do, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
That's-
and your situation, I think, it's easy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's easy. But that's the whole thing of it. It's like buying a property or selling a property. It's stressful because that's your biggest asset, right?
I know.
And in California, it's like, if you're spending $500,000, that's cheap.
I
Yeah.
know.
But think about that,
Right.
$500,000. Think of that, like 13-year-old you, like, I'm gonna spend $500,000 on a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You're not getting nothing around here less than $1 million.
no.
Anywhere,
So
man.
$1 million, $2 million, $3 million.
Yeah.
That's stressful. So like, I need to manage that. I have a team that works with me, transaction coordinators. I have a great
Sick.
title reps and escrow companies that I know, I trust, lenders that I know and trust and know that they could get the job done. But also it's managing that stress. And if something
Yeah.
comes up, I need to be able to not freak my client out. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
yo, we just got this inspection report and there's termite damage. Like termite is, but it's normal. Like California, everything, if it's wood, it's got termites. Like,
Right,
you know,
right.
so, but some people aren't from here and they're like, oh my God, termites. Like, oh my God. And it's like, what? We'll get it treated. It's nothing. But it's like managing that stress.
Yeah.
So people aren't freaking out and they're not stressed out.
Are you a stressful person? You a stressed out person? You seem like
No.
not that kind of person at
No.
all. You don't get stressed.
No, I'm not. I'm not stressful. I don't have anxiety. I'm like pretty like even.
And how do you do that? You have like any daily rituals or stuff you do that's
No.
nothing?
I don't know, man. I
No
guess,
yoga, no none of that shit.
No, I'm just like,
You've
I
always
don't know.
seemed so chill.
yeah, I'm like, but I don't know. Maybe it was the way I was raised.
You
I'm
don't
not,
exercise?
yeah, I exercise. I got my dog. I walk my dog. You know, like my morning ritual. Like I wake up, I make some coffee. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I walk my dog. I go on my computer. You know what I mean? It's not like there's like I don't meditate or do yoga or whatever. You know.
Yeah, but you filter other people's stress through you, and then you make them feel good. And
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think I just like to stay busy. I think that's the other thing is I'm like more focused when I'm busy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like to not be busy.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's why I'm able to be in 3 bands and
It's crazy.
run a record label
You can balance all that shit, man.
and do real estate and not be stressed.
Yeah.
You know, book shows. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Like my friend's band Change, they came down 2
I heard
weeks
them.
ago.
They're awesome. Somebody
Awesome.
turned me on to them, man.
Great band.
Awesome. Yeah.
But they're like, "Oh, we want to come down from
Oh, you play with them. I saw the videos.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah, they wanted to. They're from Seattle and Canada, and they're like, "We want to come down." I was like, "Cool, I'll book your shows." Yeah, whatever. We're gonna play.
It's got a uniform
Book
choice
shows.
vibe.
Yeah, it's like UC meets Youth to Today.
Yeah, Dan Smith turned me on to them. Yeah, they sound
it's
great.
awesome. Great record. Great dudes. I actually Ram the singer does a podcast as well.
Yeah, Dan has told me that too.
Yeah, that I did recently, and it's more focused on business.
Okay.
Yeah, business, but also like applying what you learned in the DIY world
To real life.
to real life.
Which
and
you're
business.
doing, which you're a
Yes.
fucking great example of.
Yeah. So it was cool. Yeah.
It's awesome. And one of my questions, I have a couple questions, but you have any regrets?
Any regrets? Like for me, I mean, I would have loved for Strife to keep going and not
Yeah.
break up when we did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could have done that and still stayed friends. You know what I mean? So it's
That's
kind of
more
like
important for
the
sure.
friendship's more important.
Totally.
But we were like, I think we were just getting over that hump to really do something big. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we could have maybe done what Hatebreed did because we stopped and they kind of took the reins and they were like, oh, we're going to tour with Sepultura, we're going to tour with Neurosis, and we're going to do this. And kind of like the groundwork was laid, I think,
Yeah.
by like a band like us, and they just took it and ran with it. And they did a great job. You
Yeah.
know, they did a great job. And you know, I'm only happy for him. I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
oh, we could have been
But-
Hatebreed, but like that was the path we were
I mean,
going.
you didn't break up because nobody cared. You guys were
No.
doing great.
No, and like I said, we had a huge tour with Earth Crisis and Hatebreed,
Yeah.
and then a full Warp tour, and then you know, we just did Untitled, which was like definitely a little more in the Deftones vibe. So
Yeah.
we're getting ready to play. It was just like
Wow.
we were ready to kind of take it to the next level if everyone was on board. And just everyone wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, but for me, like, I would have loved to see where the band went had we stayed together. Right?
Yeah.
And I love playing music, and I love the energy of being in a crowd, and that's why I still do it. Right.
course.
So like, I would have loved to have done that. I would have loved to have started my record label much earlier. Right. You
Yeah.
know, it's always something I wanted to do. Like, why did I do it in the 90s? You know what I mean? Like I could have done it.
Shoulda. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's just like, oh, I was busy doing other shit, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish I started real estate 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but timing's everything.
Yeah. It's all different chapters of your life.
Yeah, and it's all good, you know.
And one of my questions is optimist or pessimist, but you seem like you're an optimist. You seem like a positive person.
I'm a realist.
That's what my wife is.
I'm a realist.
That's what she calls herself.
Yeah, I'm a realist. So like, yes, I am a positive person, but if something smells like shit, I'm gonna tell you it smells like shit.
I like that.
Like, you know what I mean?
I like that.
And there are people that get offended by that. Like if you may like, I would say like overall people like me, but there are people that don't and think I'm an asshole because I'm a realist. And if you ask me something like, yo, check out my demo, what do you think? If you're asking me, I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Right.
Like, do you want me to tell you, or do you want me to just tell you it's great? Like,
I like that.
you know, I'm very honest in that way. It could come off as
certain
abrasive.
way.
Yeah, you know. But I guess that's being a realist, right? So yeah. So I would say definitely I try to be positive. You know, I could definitely talk shit and be negative too. You know, it's easy. It's so easy.
Yeah. But I see that everything you put your mind to, you do. Everything you want to do.
Yes.
Producing, writing, opening a store, fucking a realist, everything, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing is, I really think anyone can do that if they believe in themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can do whatever you want to do, and if you don't have the answer, you know someone that does.
100%.
You've got a friend that you can ask. You got YouTube with a tutorial on literally everything. Like
everything.
Dude, when I was producing, I would get stuck on something. Like, yo, I'm going to YouTube. Oh, this is how you do that. But, you know, also I was producing. I was around some of the best producers in the world. Like, you know, DJ Muggs in one room. I was next to Fred Reck. He had a workstation next to me who Fred produced for Nate Dogg and Dre and, you know, Britney Spears. Like, you know, so Fred, what do I do here? Like, help me out. You know what I mean? So it's also like, if you...
Quiet, Max.
You can learn by who you associate with.
Totally.
Like, that's super important. If you're around people doing great things, it's gonna put you in a position to do great things, or
100%.
Inspire you to do great things.
Surround yourself with,
yeah. So that's super important. And you know, you as a parent, I'm sure you see that, like,
totally,
and trying to navigate that. You know, like
100%.
My parents never told me like, oh, you can't hang out with this person, or that's a bad seed, or you're doing, you know what I mean? But like, I could see that, you know, becoming a dilemma at some point, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you always been like, I don't know, true to yourself and around all types of people in different circles, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Turned out pretty good, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Is just like, you know, I said it on a Rams podcast. It's like, you're going to go so much further making a friend than you are going to make an enemy, right?
100%.
Like, so put some out in the world. Help somebody. It'll come back, you know.
100%.
Don't expect it to come back.
Not at all.
But it will, you know. And you do good things, and if you're a
that.
good person, it's all going to come back.
I believe that.
No doubt.
Well, I appreciate you so much, man. That was 3.5 hours with Andrew Kline.
Woo.
I maybe we'll drop a 1 and 2. I like doing that. I did that with Tim Hendricks. People like one episode the following week, because 3 hours is a lot to digest.
That is.
Yeah.
Well, not Joe Rogan did like 3 or 4 hours, but like once again, like what this podcast is teaching me.
Joe Rogan
is that he has like 3 or 4 hour ones. Is that people that you've met throughout the years and you finally haven't talked to them?
Yeah.
You learn so much more about them, and I'm so happy like we did this.
That's so true.
You know what I'm saying? Like I learned so much more and have so much more respect. Nothing I respected before, but just everything, your journey. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Been,
I appreciate it.
around.
And to a little sick of it all pun, we only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
I know. Because I know you got stories for days, bro.
Yeah. And we'll share. We share.
And you're a
some
good talker
ones.
too. Like you have good stories. Good
Thank
memory.
You. Thank you. Yeah, it's funny because I drop a podcast and usually the first person to respond, I'll get a text from my mom. Like,
wow.
I just listened to your podcast. You're such a good storyteller. I'm so proud of you. Like,
hope your mom's gonna listen, man.
Oh, she will.
Okay.
I don't even
That's
tell her about it. She
wonderful.
must see it on my social media.
Wow.
But she literally just the other day, I dropped a podcast. She's like, oh, I just listened to your podcast. It was so great. I'm going to go and listen to some other of his podcasts.
She rules. That's
Yeah.
freaking
That's
amazing,
amazing.
bro. She's so proud of you,
and
man.
she showed up to, you know, we played Gilman. She showed up to Gilman to a couple shows.
Did she bug out when she saw you play for the first time, like hardcore music? Was she like, what is this shit?
You know what's crazy? So as a kid, she never saw us in the 90s. You know, we probably never played anywhere that close.
Yeah.
You know, we were always like in the city. But like my dad came out. My dad came out and saw us like 91 with Upfront and Lifetime. in Long Beach. Like my dad was there, and like kind of like my uncle from New York, he was there. And then my dad came out. My dad and my brother came out another time. That show we booked at the community center with Chain of Strength. So my dad saw Chain of Strength.
It's pretty
That's
sick.
fucking some old school shit.
That's pretty amazing. Come out in sport like that. Yeah.
So he would come out to some shows, and then since Strife's been back more recently, my mom's come out, and they were at the California Take. My mom and sister came and saw the California Takeover in the Bay Area. They came to that show, and they're in the balcony, and kids were like super stoked. Though she was leaving after we played. And that's your mom. That's so cool. They're like helping her down the stairs, and so that was fun. They're super supportive.
I think it's so cool you can put the California Takeover on your own label.
Oh,
it's such a full circle. It's incredible.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah.
It's like a dream, and just like that Earth Crisis and Snapcase are like on my label with a release too.
So cool,
it's like,
amazing.
and they were cool with that. Like, it was very like doing these shows. Like, it could have been a very tricky, weird process of different egos, and it was
great, man.
Everyone wants to do them. Everyone's equal. We're all apart. We're all doing this. We're gonna rotate. No ego, no attitude.
The crowd was great.
Yeah, and it was just like cool. And then they're like, "You want to do the record? Cool, let's do it." Like, it was just super easy. It's been awesome working with those guys. And
U3 bands was such a big important part of hardcore history. That whole era, man. U3, man, were the mains.
Yeah, it was.
I love Snapcase too, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, both of them.
I know, man.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was an awesome era, and it's just cool to see like so many years later that it's still important.
100%.
Kids still care. They still believe in the words and the message, and
Earth Crisis still live that too, man. It's incredible, man.
So
awesome.
it's just awesome, and it feels really good. And we don't do it now when we play. It's like, we don't do it for the money.
It's fun.
We don't do it to rehash the past. It's
Yep.
like, the five of us want to hang out. And
Totally.
you know what? It's really hard to get five of us to hang out. But if we
sure.
have band practice, there's a good chance that at least four of us are showing up. At least four of us are showing up. And then, we do a show, and we're in the van, and we have some laughs, and we play some fun shows. And
That's awesome, man.
And it's a good way just to get everyone back together and connect.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
So it's so fortunate that we're able to still do that.
Yeah. And people care.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you, Andrew, so much for being
course.
here, man. Derek,
Andrew.
anything else? We're good.
That's it for me, man.
and it's always ones I don't know what to expect. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just
The
these always
best
become my
ones.
favorite ones.
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. I appreciate that. That was a super fun interview, and
It's very therapeutic.
I'm looking forward to part 3.
Yeah.
That's when I become an astronaut.
Ooh,
come back.
That's your next thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You
All
and
right.
Jeff Bezos.
Well, an old friend of ours. He's going to be the first space tourist. He's going with Elon Musk.
Wow, somebody we know.
What?
Yeah.
All right, do we talk after? Yeah, I can't say it on here.
Okay.
Oh, we can say it on air. It's very public.
All right.
So you probably met him. His name's Yusuke. He's from Japan. He played in a band called Switch Style. He brought,
I heard the name. Yeah,
He helped bring Strife to Japan the first time.
he's going there.
He's going to space in I think it's in like 40 days. He has a countdown on his Twitter.
40 days?
Oh, that's
Like
fucking
in
amazing.
40, like it's happening soon.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, and so like he's I believe he's one of the richest people in Japan, but like top richest people in the world.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and he
He's a
was a
hardcore
hardcore
kid.
kid. He was straight
So
edge,
cool,
and
man.
he came out here and went to Strife shows, and we went there and stayed with his family in Japan.
Holy
and,
shit.
And then he started actually it started from a distro.
Okay.
He started a distro called Start Today that was importing records and CDs, and then later it kind of became like a curated Amazon. It's called Zozo Town now.
Wow.
And it's huge. And he has his own PGA tour that with Tiger Woods and shit. Like, it's crazy. He does the Japanese PGA tour.
That's insane.
Yeah,
man.
Todd, the guitar player for Strife, is a big golfer. He used to be a golf pro. And
What?
he used to run a huge country club called Sherwood Country Club, and he was a golf pro there, and he was an instructor there. And
Jesus.
Yusuke brought his Japanese.
You said you suck?
His name is Yusuke, but everyone called him
Okay.
UX Suck.
Oh,
like
okay,
it was
that's
like
hard.
his American name.
Okay.
And so he brought his Japanese PGA there, and Tiger Woods competed as well as a bunch of pros and amateurs. And Todd went. Todd was able to go because he had such a good connection. It was like peak COVID, and they had like a bubble, like a sports bubble. And Todd was trying to bring me. He's like, I can't bring you. There's a bubble. Like, I can't get you in. But he's I'm able to go. And so Todd went and met with Yusak and hung out with him, and it was cool.
Amazing.
Like we haven't seen him in years, but it was a really cool thing. But yeah, he's about to go to space. So
wow,
and he was originally doing this thing where he wanted to bring like 7 artists, and so he's like, and his whole thing was like, what if Picasso went to space? What would he paint? Or what if John Lennon went to space? What song would he write? So he was like doing this thing, like you could kind of win to go to space. I didn't apply, but I was like, yo, we're all bros. We're all bros. I don't even know if I would want to go to space, to be honest. It'd be great being there, but like if something happened, you know what I mean? Like I know people that are terrified of flying, right?
Yes.
But imagine like taking a rocket into space, landing. It's a whole nother level.
You're right.
Okay, one more thing.
Yes.